Alright, we're going to pick up with the second half of the semester, starting with Chapter 7. We may come back and pick up Chapter 6 if time permits later on, but for right now we're going to skip 6 and move to 7. It's on importing and modifying graphics. Your objectives for the chapter is to understand and import graphics, break apart bitmaps and use bitmap fields, and trace bitmap graphics. Okay, importing vector graphics from an application such as Fireworks or Illustrator is easy. The vector graphics are treated almost as if you created them in Flash. Importing bitmap graphics is easy too, but working with them can be a little more difficult. Using bitmap graphics can increase your file size dramatically. You'll use the import dialog box. This shows importing an Illustrator file. It's most efficient to use vector graphics or to create graphics directly in Flash. Once either the graphic file type is in your library, you can place them on the stage where you can trace them, break them apart, use them to fill an object, optimize them, and animate them. Okay, so once you get them in the library, you can start working with them in Flash. Alright, Flash is vector-based. Thus, all graphics in motion within the application are calculated according to the mathematical formulas. This vector-based format results in a smaller file size as well as a robust ability to resize movies without notable loss in quality. A bitmap graphic is also called a raster graphic, which is based on pixels, not on mathematical formulas. In many cases, when you import both bitmap and vector graphics, you are able to retain features such as layers, transparency, and animations that come in with it from the other applications. The best way to bring a graphic into your movie is to import it by selecting the import option on the file menu, and then choose the import to stage command to have the graphic placed on the stage and in the library. If the original graphic has layers, Flash can create new layers associated with that graphic in your document. Flash automatically places the additional layers on the timeline or inside a movie clip symbol when applicable. So here it shows again importing graphics, and we're going to work with this in a little bit. But you can display only files of one file type, such as PNG, by selecting that file type in the file types list. You can tell instead of it being all files, you can have just JPEGs or just PNGs or whatever. And when you're trying to import, so that you can narrow it down and find your graphic that you're looking for. If you are importing a large number of graphics, you can import a group of graphics of the same file type and from a single folder, all of which will automatically use the same settings. Okay. You can also copy and paste graphics from an application such as a graphics editing program directly into Flash. If you copy and paste using other applications, the graphic may become a flattened bitmap, which means the advantage of using vector graphics are lost. You can import Fireworks PNG files as flattened bitmap graphics. You need QuickTime 4 or later to import PNG files at all. Okay? And it's free to download from Apple, but you'll need QuickTime 4 to be able to work with PNGs. You can create artwork in an Illustrator to import into Flash. The graphics created in Illustrator are comprised of paths. Paths are segments such as lines of a graphic that can be individually edited. And I know a lot of you have had the CIS191 class and you've worked with Illustrator some already. So you know what it's talking about with the path segments. Graphics that you create in Illustrator are in AI files. And these files are vector-based. Files preserve most of their attributes, including filters and blends. In the import dialog box, you can choose to convert Illustrator graphic layers to Flash layers, which will let you pull all those layers in. And this again shows that import box where you check off the items. Flash also allows you to import Photoshop files. Graphics created in Photoshop allow you to produce more creative and complex images. The Photoshop tools allow you to create high quality artwork before you import the graphic into Flash. Graphics created in Photoshop are PSD files, and you can choose to have Photoshop layers imported as Flash layers. This allows you to edit individual parts of the image once the graphic is in your Flash document. And then here it shows importing a PSD file, which consists of 2 layers. And the sun layer selected, it is converted to a movie clip, so its features will be editable. And once imported, each layer in the background .psd will exist on its own layer in Flash. Flash allows you to use and modify imported bitmaps in a variety of ways, and you can control the size, compression, and anti-aliasing of imported bitmaps. And then anti-aliasing is the process of smoothing the edges of a graphic so they appear less jagged. With bitmaps, you can get a lot of jagged edges when you change the size of the graphic, so the anti-aliasing helps with that. Okay, and then once you import a bitmap, it becomes a graphic object in your library and you can edit it. When an instance of a bitmap symbol is on the stage, you can use the Properties panel to numerically change dimensions of the graphic, swap the bitmap for another bitmap within the library, or edit the bitmap in another application. And this shows properties for your bitmap and how to set those in your bitmap property dialog. It shows the original size of the graphic, and changing the size of an object on the stage does not affect the original bitmap symbol. Alright, and then it throws in a little section about copyrights, which you study, I know, in all these classes, but it's still important. Copyright laws apply to digital images, including those obtained from companies that provide stock photographic images and clip art. The laws are intended to protect the intellectual property rights of the creator of the work, as well as to ensure compensation for the creativity and work involved by the artist. Some works, such as those created by government agencies, may be in the public domain, while others, such as those used for education, may fall under fair use and not be subjected to copyright restrictions. However, unless you produce the graphics yourself, you should assume that any other graphics you want to use in your Flash movies are protected under copyright laws. Be sure to read the terms of use associated with any graphic you obtain for use in your movies, and to follow the stated permissions requirements regarding that graphic. So if you don't create them yourself, just be safe and make sure you're following the copyright laws for the graphic that you're using. Alright, we're going to go out and look at the tutorial for this section of Chapter 7. You're on Flash 7-8 in your book, if you want to follow along in the book. We're going to start Flash and create a new Flash document. Action Script 2.0. Alright. We're going to save it as gsamples.fla. Alright. Verify that your stage size right over here in your properties panel is 550 by 400 pixels, and then look at your library panel. Click File on the menu bar. We're going to point to Import. Click Import to Stage, and then navigate to the drive and folder where you've stored your data files when it pops up. You could alternately import the image to the library and then drag the image to the stage, but we're going to import to stage this time. It's going to take it a few minutes. My system has a little bit of lag. Alright. Go to my Chapter 7 folder. I'm Make sure that you've got all files chosen right here. Let's make this a list where it's easier to see. And I'm looking for the dragonfly.png. We want to choose it and click open. If a message appears indicating that you need QuickTime, you'll need to install the program before you can continue. And you can substitute another graphic if you need to. You can import the dfly.jpg as a substitute for right now so that you don't have to stop and install QuickTime. Display the library panel, then click the dragonfly.png to display the object in the preview window. Click the object on the stage to select it, then display the properties panel. Type 0 for the X coordinate, and 0 for the Y coordinate. Verify the object is selected. Okay, we want to get off of this. Verify our object is selected, and then we want to click Modify, Convert to Symbol. Type MC_dragonfly. Make sure movie clip is chosen and then click OK. And now rename layer 1 Dragonfly. Alright, you have just imported a fireworks PNG file as a flattened bitmap and converted it to a movie clip symbol. Now we want to click File. We want to click Import and import to library. We want to click the list arrow, make sure all files, we want Illustrator files. We want just AI files to show. You should see tree.ai and click Open. Select it and click Open. Verify the convert layers. When the box, your import library comes up, verify the convert layers to option is set to flash layers right here. Alright, then verify both import unused symbols and import as a single bitmap image is checked. Click OK. A new graphic symbol appears in your library panel. Insert a new layer. Name it Tree 1. Then drag the Tree 1 layer beneath your dragonfly. Verify that frame 1 of the Tree 1 layer is selected. Then drag the tree.ai graphic symbol from the library panel to the left side of the stage beneath the dragonfly. Display your properties panel. Verify the tree is selected on the stage. Then verify the lock width and height options is broken. Change the width to 300 and the height to 277. Set the X coordinate to 3.0 and the Y coordinate to 60.0. Alright, compare your screen to Figure 5 on page Flash 7-9. You've imported an Illustrator file to your library, dragged the graphic symbol to the stage, and then resized and repositioned it. We want to go back to File. We want to go to Import, Import to Stage. In our list arrow, we want PSD files. So we want our Photoshop format. You should see background.psd. Click it and click open. We want to click the background layer, not its checkbox. Then verify the flattened bitmap image button is selected. Right here. Click the sun layer, not its checkbox. Then click the editable pass and layer style option button. Verify the convert layers to option is set to flash right down here. Then verify the set stage size to option does not have a check mark. Click OK. Notice the two layers that are added to the timeline right here. Then press Escape to deselect the newly inserted graphics. Click the sun layer, then click the delete icon. You got the sun, click delete. Drag the background layer below the tree layer. Click the background graphic to select it. Then use the properties panel to change the width and height to 550 by 400. Verify the X and Y coordinates are both set to 0. Your screen should now resemble figure 7 on page Flash 7-10. We want to lock our background layer. You imported a PSD file to the library, resized it, set its position on the stage, and then locked it. Display your library panel. Then double click the background.psd assets. To display, okay, we want to display the assets folder like that. And the symbols for the two objects. The background bitmap symbol and the sun movie clip symbol. Note, when you specified in the import dialog box that the sun layer would be imported as editable pass and layer styles, the movie clip that contains the graphic information was created. Right click the background bitmap symbol. In the library panel. Then click Properties to open the Bitmap Properties dialog box. Click the Allow Smoothing checkbox. Verify the photo is selected for compression. The photo JPEG right here is selected for compression. Then click the Custom Option button in the Quality area. Type 100 in that custom box. Then click Test. Study the quality of the graphic in the preview window and notice the compressed size of the graphic is approximately 25 KB. Change the custom setting to 20. I didn't mean to hit enter. Okay. Change it to 20 and then click Test. I notice the quality of the graphic has greatly diminished as the compressed file size is dropped. Change your custom setting to 70. And then click Test. Your screen should resemble figure 8 on page flash 7-11. The compressed size of the graphic has been reduced to less than 2 right here, with no significant reduction in the appearance of the image. So click OK, and then make sure you save your work. You compared the quality and file sizes of different compressions and then compressed a bitmap file. Alright, so let's drop this down and go back to our PowerPoints for just a minute. Now the next section, lesson 2, talks about breaking apart bitmaps and using bitmap fields. Your bitmap graphics, unlike vector graphics, are made up of a group of pixels. You can break apart a bitmap graphic and edit the individual pixels. The lasso tool will allow you to select irregularly shaped parts of a graphic. You can use the Magic Wand tool to select areas of similar color in a bitmap graphic that you've already broken apart. Flash will allow you to apply a bitmap field to any drawn shape or text that's been broken apart. And a bitmap field is created by breaking apart a bitmap graphic and then using it to fill another graphic. So here it shows a bitmap fill applied with the brush tool, and then a bitmap fill in a circle applied with a paint bucket. The bitmap fill in the text applied with the paint bucket tool there at the bottom. So it shows you 3 different areas where a bitmap fill has been used as an effect. You can apply a bitmap fill to any drawn shape. Flash will tile the bitmap to fill the shape if necessary. And then you can use the gradient transform tool to change the size, shape, rotation, and the skew of your fill, which allows you to position the original graphic in the exact place you want it. And you can also apply a bitmap as a fill by using the brush tool. If the bitmap graphic you want to use for a fill is not on the stage, you can use the color panel to select it. And this here shows your bitmap fill selected as the type, and then bitmap fill selected here, and then your bitmaps that were available in the library for your color panel. Alright, so let's go back out to Flash and play around with this a little bit. We want to go back to our same file. We'll make sure that it's still open. We want to click File, and we want to go to Import, and we want to import to the library, and we're going to click the list arrow and choose JPEG, and then we want to click the moon.jpg right here and click Open. Click Frame 1 on your moon layer. Oh, we want to insert a new layer, sorry. Insert a new layer and name it Moon. And we want it to be just above our background layer, okay? We'll name it Moon. And then we want to verify frame 1 selected on that moon layer. Then drag the moon graphic symbol to the stage, as shown in figure 11 on page 7-14. Want to verify the moon selected. Okay, you can click it to make sure it's selected. And we're going to go to Modify, Break Apart. We want to choose our selection tool, and then click the pasteboard to deselect the moon graphic. We want our lasso tool, which is right here. Okay, we want to get what's underneath it. We want to click the lasso tool on the tools panel, and then we want to click the Magic Wand settings tool. Okay. Click the smoothing list arrow, and we want to click pixels, and then we want to set our threshold to 20. and then click OK. Click the magic wand tool here. Okay, click the magic wand tool. Point to your blue background. Then click to select the blue background. Alright, it's not selecting yet. Well, hang on. Click the magic wand tool. Okay, you want the blue background of the moon graphic. You want to click to select it. You want to click Edit on the menu bar. Then click Cut. Click your selection tool. Drag the moon graphic to the upper right corner of the stage. Click the pasteboard, and then compare your image to the one in figure 13 on page 7-14. Okay. You broke apart and edited a bitmap graphic. Now we want to go to File, Import, Import to Library. We want our meadow.jpg. Click Open. We want to insert a new layer there between tree and moon, and we want to name it Meadow. We want to make sure frame 1 is selected. Then we want to drag the Meadow graphic symbol from the library panel to the empty area of the stage. So we'll bring it, let's see, click it and drag it over in here somewhere. Click Modify, Break Apart, click the eyedropper tool, click the Meadow graphic. The eyedropper tool lets you select a fill from the existing object so you can apply it to another object. Notice the color swatch for the fill color tool in the tools panel displays the Meadow pattern, and the pointer has changed to a paint bucket. Click the selection tool, then click the Meadow graphic on the stage to select it. Click Edit, then click Cut to remove the graphic from the stage. Select the rectangle tool, then set the stroke color to no stroke. Using figure 15 as a guide, draw a rectangle across the bottom of the stage that covers a small part of the tree trunk. You're on figure 15 on page 7-15. We want a rectangle that comes across the bottom of the stage like this. The rectangle fills with a tiling bitmap of the meadow. Okay, we want to save our work. You use the eyedropper tool to select a fill from an object, then applied it to the fill of another object. Alright, now we're going to go back to our PowerPoints for just a few more minutes. We are moving on to lesson 3. It's on trace bitmap graphics. Tracing is an outstanding feature. If you are illustration challenged, or if you need to convert a bitmap graphic into a vector for animation purposes. When you apply the trace function, you change a bitmap graphic into a vector paths and fields with varying details of degrees of detail. When you trace a graphic, it acts as though it were drawn in Flash. And then it shows here before and after tracing a bitmap. There are 4 options that affect how detailed the trace will be. You've got color threshold, which compares 2 side-by-side pixels. If the difference is less than the color threshold, the two are considered the same color. Color threshold options include integers between 1 and 500. Minimum area sets the number of surrounding pixels to consider, with options between 1 and 1000. Your corner threshold works with sharp edges to retain them or smooth them out, and your curve fit determines how smoothly outlines are drawn. And then it shows 3 different effects with different trace settings. When you trace, paths and shapes are created. Paths and shapes are created, but every piece of the original graphic remains as one layer. To animate or tween between pieces of the shape, you often have to isolate parts of the object onto their own layers. And this here shows that once isolated, a selection can be converted to a graphic symbol and then animated. And let's go back and take a look at this stuff in Flash. It's a little easier to understand once you actually seen it worked out in Flash. Okay, so we're now on page 7-18. We're going to click our selection tool. We're going to click our moon graphic on the stage. And we're going to press delete. We're going to click frame 1 on the moon layer. Then we're going to drag the moon.jpg graphic from the library panel to the upper right corner of the stage. So we're going to put it back in there. Verify the moon is selected. Click Modify. Point to Bitmap. Then click Trace Bitmap. Type 60 in the color threshold text box. Alright, then double click the value in the minimum area text box and put in 10. Click the corner threshold list arrow to view the options, and then make sure normal is still chosen. Click the curve fit list arrow to see your options, and then make sure normal is chosen for it as well. Click OK, and then click your pasteboard to deselect your moon. Then compare your graphic to figure 20 on page 7-18. Now we want our zoom tool, and we want to click to enlarge our moon. Okay. We want our selection tool, and then we want to click our paint bucket. Then verify the lock fill option in the options area of the tools panel is not selected. Set the fill color to pound B 7D EFF. Oh no, it's not want to pick that up. B7D EFF. That's not the right color. Still not picking up. Alright, let's try this one more time. Pound. Alright. Pound B7DEFF. Okay, and then hit enter. Alright. Not sure why I wasn't taking it before. Alright, click various parts of the moon graphic with the paint bucket to change the color to resemble figure 23 on page 7-19. Okay, so it'll look something like that. Click Edit on the menu bar and then click Undo to use the Undo command as needed if you click an area you don't want to click. But it should end up looking something like this. Then we're going to click our selection tool. We're going to set the view to fit in window. And your screen should now resemble figure 24 on page 7-19. We want to save our work. You edited a trace bitmap graphic by changing the color and parts of the bitmap. So we're going to close our file. And that concludes the Chapter 7 lecture and tutorial walkthrough. Let me know if you have any questions.